Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Haven Falls Aftershow. I'm Casey Hutchison, creator, head writer, and executive producer of Haven Falls. First, thank you for listening to our series premiere, What We Hold Dear, bringing Haven Falls to life. It has been an incredible journey, and I'm so grateful to finally be sharing this story with all of you. So each week, me and this wonderful co-host of mine and associate producer Galen Roberts, we're going to take a look back at the latest episode, discuss some behind the scenes insights, and talk about the characters, stories, and secrets shaping the town of Haven Falls. So, before we hop into this first episode, I wanted to take time, Galen, for you to kind of highlight yourself, talk about the amazing work that you do in the world of multimedia, but as well, how did you come to Haven Falls?
Oh my God. Thank you for that. First off, I am a content creator. I focus on talking about TV, movies, different things like that. And it's been something I've been seriously pursuing for about the past 4 years or so. And it has given me an opportunity to talk about so many amazing, wonderful programs. And speaking of amazing and wonderful programs, you and I are friends, and just in the development process of Haven Falls, we would just talk about different things. And one day I was just like, well, maybe I can help in some way. And that's how I became your associate producer. And it has just been a beautiful journey watching this coming from idea to something that people are excited for and people are talking about and people are invested in. So it's been a beautiful, beautiful process, and I'm so happy to be here.
Now, Galen, you kind of got in on this early on, because for those who don't know, we've got 15 episodes this first season. And I think you came in like week four or something, like early on.
Mhm.
But it's been so great to collaborate with you because we've collaborated before. We had our short-lived, shall we say, soap opera heritage, which was awesome and such an amazing venture. But it's such a blessing to work with you again. You have such an impeccable creative mind and such an attention for detail.
I really appreciate that. And like I've told you so much that you inspire me with everything that you do, all the different hats that you juggle and just going from there. So I'm glad that I can bring that little creative spark to it.
Well, certainly. Well, Galen, something really special about this project is that you and I have worked so hard together to ensure that this amazingly stacked cast brings this show to life, which they have done so very well. And I know you and I are both soap opera fans. That's why we do this sort of content and put this sort of storytelling out to the world. So, talk to me about amazing soap vets that we are so honored to have. How does it feel for us to really work with Jeff Branson, Frank DeCopolis, Melissa Archer? There might even be some more soap vets coming along the way. But what are your thoughts on those three amazing daytime veterans?
It is so strange because in like the best possible way. Because like when you watch somebody for months, years of your life, and I only say months because One Life to Live, I kind of was on the tail end of it. So I kind of came in right at the end there, but then I went back and fell in love with Natalie. But with Jeff Branson, with Frank, like I watched their respective shows for years. Even on the overlap when Jeff and Frank were on Guiding Light, like I watched them at the same. It's almost like a mind blown moment seeing, oh, we're talking to these people, we're working with them, these are the same people that I watched on TV, and now they're here working on this project. And it's just, I don't know, it's very surreal, if I'm honest. And I'm a huge Natalie Buchanan fan, so working with Melissa is just like, like I get starstruck every time I go to talk to her. I'm like, I can't say anything to her. I can't. I'm gonna get too nervous and I'm gonna pass out.
She is the sweetest. I mean, she is just so wonderful and amazing, and I love her as the character of Julia. She is fantastic. And it's so great for you and I. Like I am a big fan of working with people who have brought you amazing performances. Kind of repeating working with actors across different shows, I feel as though is important because not only have you built this very familial type of relationship, but they're going to deliver it every single time. And you and I worked with some of these actors on Heritage. So getting to work with Christina Sullivan again and Karen Nebel and Ashley Stewart. I mean, so many great guys and gals. So what is it like for you to come back into this audio soap world, but specifically work with some people that you already built those relationships with?
I think it's so fun. I think it's fun to be able to come back and remember times and remember people and remember voices because it's kind of difficult, sometimes when you don't see people in person, but just remember voices and remember how warm they were or how inviting they were, and then be able to associate them with people. And when I think back to Heritage, you and I have talked a lot about I was in a much different space in life. And so now being here and being able to be more involved and be able to talk with people and give feedback and things like that, it just feels like a whole new world, and it feels like a whole new adventure and journey. And it was so cool to come back and people be like, welcome back.
It kind of felt like old home week, really. It felt so great. And I haven't worked with a lot of these people in quite a bit because we were so far ahead in taping Forever and a Day. So even though that final episode aired in, oh gosh, my memory's getting a little rusty here. I want to say May of last year. We had already taped it by like December of the previous year. Like we moved so lightning fast to get that show out. So it's just a pleasure coming home to these people and these familiar voices, like you said, and these friends and everything. But it has me very excited for the future ahead. We've most certainly surrounded ourselves with some very talented performers and some new people. We have Joshua Zach Phillip, for example, who plays Michael Van Osdale, which we'll get into that in just a moment. And I absolutely adore him. He's a wonderful actor. But with that being said, let's kind of hop into this episode because what a crazy 16 minutes this was. And that's really what we're bringing is that old school back when soaps were, 15 minutes on the radio. That's what we're bringing back.
Yep.
So in the series premiere of Haven Falls, old wounds and new conflicts quickly emerge as the rivalry between the Callahan and Hale families takes center stage. Patrick celebrates promising news about his family's farm, only to clash once again with his daughter Laura over her engagement to Lucas Hale. Meanwhile, Victor Hale continues his efforts to acquire the Callahan land, setting the stage for a dangerous confrontation at the end of the episode. Now, Galen, in the first part of our show there's kind of a lot to unpack, but something that really stands out to me in this first episode is kind of our Romeo and Juliet story
Yes.
between Laura Callahan and Lucas Hale, Christina Sullivan, and Jeff Branson.
hmm I love that aspect of it. I love a good, even if it's not forbidden, that like star-crossed aspect to it. We're not really supposed to be together because of everything going on. But what I do love the most about this connection, though, is that Laura is not one of those people that's like, I'm gonna hide it and we're just gonna have to be together in secret. My girl is like, no, we're together, we're getting married. And if you don't like it, like immediately let me go tell my brother about it because clearly I'm not getting the reception here that I need. And I think that's such a fun take on it though, because usually what you do come into is the part where they're hiding it and, meeting in these clandestine meetings. And this is so fun watching it be at this level where everyone is just gonna have to get over it. Everybody. And that's what makes this story so juicy and makes me so excited to get more into it, is to see everyone's feelings actually come out. Like, not just what they're trying to say they're feeling, not just being passive aggressive, but like, I'm ready to see what happens when everything hits the fan.
And I think like Christina Sullivan, who plays Laura, really plays that like dynamic well of wanting everybody to get along.
Yes.
Like she understands how this feud has gone back decades, and as the series progresses, so will our listeners. Because I
Hmm.
think there is some very unexpected backstory with our more maturely aged folks that I can't wait for us to dive into. But I love how, Christina really brought it in this episode. She really hit the ground running of being stressed and just being
Yes.
in love. And I love that. And I also loved the moment that came later between her and Eileen, played for now by Diana Collins. And I just felt as though both of those ladies elevated such an emotional moment in Laura's bedroom. And what makes me curious is when Eileen really says, the hate your father has is not for Lucas. The hate he has is for that man that I thought I once knew. And I think that gives our listeners a little nugget of
Hmm.
what in the hell happened here to get them to where they are now, present day.
Yeah, those breadcrumbs are there, and they are breading. It's a loaf at a certain point. And but you're so right though, like that desire to know more about what does she mean by that? Like, oh, so you knew him. How did you know him? And it just, there's so much potential to not realize how, or not kind of think about how Laura's going to take this. Like, in this moment, is she going to be receptive when she finds out? What is she going to find out? How is she going to find out? It opens the door to so many other questions. And oh my god, okay, let me stop. Let me stop cuz
Well, and I think like it's starting to get a little hot in here because I'm thinking of our one of our leading men, BJ Van Griffin, who plays Daddy Patrick. And for
Mhm.
those who follow Mr. BJ on Twitter, y'all got a little bit of leg from him.
He was putting in the real leg work for the
Yes,
promo.
he
He was
was.
putting in the leg work, literally.
Now, Galen, what is it like for you? Because, I think BJ, who's, for those who don't know, Bruce is his name, but if you've been around on Twitter long enough, you know it's Bruce. But BJ, as his SAG-AFTRA name is, what do you think of him going from what we saw on our show, Heritage, which was the very devoted family man, police chief, upstanding, to this family man who will do anything, it seems like, to not let the Hale family have his family's farm.
Oh my god, I love watching the transformation and the difference, because I think that actors get a much more fun experience when they get a chance to play like that well-rounded, I'll do whatever, I'll get in the mud, but it's for my family. Those are my favorite kind of characters anyway. And I think that he brings that so well, and watching him make that shift is just like, you can see the light just spark up. Well, you can't see it, but you know what I mean. The figurative level, like you can see or hear it, just like those scenes where he has to get down and dirty. You can hear that he is putting everything he's got into it.
Which we're going to get to some down and dirty stuff because elsewhere in the town of Haven Falls,
Listen.
my gosh. So Victor's wife, Catherine, played by my dear, dear friend and the brilliant, utterly brilliant Elizabeth Von Isser. Catherine Hale risks exposing her secret affair with Dr. Michael Van Osdale. Hannah Brooks and Malcolm Callahan look toward a hopeful future together because they're going through IVF. Catherine and Victor's daughter, Vanessa, she's struggling with painful memories of her late husband who just recently died in an automobile accident. And I have to say automobile because that's such classy soap language, you know? And newcomer Helen Rollins arrives in Haven Falls searching for a fresh start, unknowingly finding herself caught in the middle of the town's biggest feud. There is so much to unpack here with our other characters. Like right after that first scene, we're off to the races, right? So I think we should just start with like one of our favorite dynamics, which is Catherine and Michael. And then Hannah walks in on her supervisor about to slurp this man.
Yes. I was like, I don't even know if well, I can't say the word I want to, but the word I want, I, I was literally like the first time I listened to it, I was like, wait, did I hear that right? I went back because I said, she does what? She gets down on what? She's unzipping what? Like, and can I just say that Hannah's reaction was perfect. The like
Our
realizing what's going
Ashley
on in like
Stewart.
real time. Oh my god, I was like, girl, same. Girl,
The fact
same.
that she still made her leave those papers on the desk, though, she
Yes,
was like,
and
"Can you just leave those over there?"
she's like, girl, I got this job that I'm working on, and I still got to do my main job, but I got this job I got to finish first. I was like, I was in tears and in shock. I was. You're not gonna get this on Young and the Restless.
No, this is not your grandmother's soap opera. This is
No.
this is not, Guiding Light in 1974. Like, oh gosh, but it was the best. And I love Ashley Stewart, who plays Hannah so much. She's like one of Galen and I's dolls. She is just such a lovely person. And it's so funny because she'll come on and we'll get to spend a little time together chatting with our folks, and then we'll do the scene. And her transformations and scenes are like that. Like,
Yes.
she just does it at the drop of a hat. Like, she'll go from talking about something awesome that happened over the weekend, and then she's like, oh gosh, like, Catherine, I'm so sorry. And it's instant.
Yeah.
She
Yep.
turns it on and off like that.
Yep.
Um, but then I loved one of my favorite parts in this scene was Joshua Zach Phillip, who plays Michael, and Elizabeth Von Isser, who plays Catherine. They're like sexually charged chemistry. Like, I remember when we taped this episode, I literally, like, at the end, I was like, ooh, like, I need a cigarette. Like, because when he was telling that woman, oh, it's a big, big surprise.
And she said, I bet it is. I don't know why that tickled me so bad. I was like, you know what? Baby, we know what we're here for. We are here to cut up, and that's what we are about to do. No matter who comes in. And then when she reminded him that he was supposed to lock the door, I just
Like,
felt like
his
that was
fault.
right. She's like, if you had just remembered to lock the door, I mean, this wouldn't have happened. But I love too that though, in that moment, we get a chance to see that there is no shame. There is
Yeah,
not. There's
none.
not this level of embarrassment, like, oh my god, and this worry. What if my husband finds out? She's just like, leave the papers on the
Yeah, it's
desk.
just like the
Leave them on
desk
the
is over
Davenport.
there.
Like,
Oh my gosh. It is the best. And then I love how we get earlier in that episode, we did get a lovely introduction to Ben Bryant as Malcolm and Ashley Stewart as Hannah and their marriage, and they're working on the IVF process, which is so current, to discuss women's reproductive rights, which are really under fire in our
yes,
country and have been for
yes,
quite some time. So I love that we can discuss it so openly and discuss the money and the
mm-hmm.
pain and the trials and the tribulations of it all before you reach that joyful point, like all you have to go
Yes,
through in that process. Um, and it's just also so great to hear Ashley and Ben be reunited. They were a very complicated couple on Heritage. And so I knew that when I was constructing this show, I wanted them for these parts because I knew they could play it so well.
yeah.
So Galen, what do you think of what Hannah and Malcolm are going through, and Hannah being very open about my boss is a raging bitch.
I think it's so realistic because so many people have that boss or supervisor that is just like not a good person, and everyone knows it, but nobody can really say anything about it. And I think it lets us know Hannah knows how to play the game with her at this point. She's not crazy. She's not naive. She's not putting it to the side and hoping that things get better. And she's not really that bad. She's fully aware of the person that she is. And she has learned how to work within that. She's learned how to keep herself going and sane without getting lost in his madness. And I was gonna say too that another thing that I really like about the IVF story is, like you said, bringing up the cost of it, because I think what we're so used to in soap operas, because a lot of the time, we have characters who have money, whether it be miraculously they have these large amounts of money or they're born into it. I think on soaps, a lot of time we get into just like, oh, it failed, it succeeded. We go through these different rounds and there's no talk about how much it costs because they don't have to worry about that. They don't have to think about, am I going to be able to pay my mortgage for the next few months because we paid for this round? Is this something that's going to come back to bite us that we tried to do this? And I like the fact that we're getting a chance to get to the nitty gritty of things and the toll it can take on you in so many different ways, like you were saying before. But specifically with the money aspect, it makes it feel real. It feels like we're talking to people about this situation versus like hearing people tell us that it's a thing they're going through. Hmm.
Exactly. Like I'm a big fan of getting always two things that Agnes Nixon, the late great Agnes Nixon, always said has always stuck out to me as a writer. And that's one, with a soap opera, you have a duty as a writer to entertain and educate. The two
Hmm.
E's. And so, as we go through this journey with Malcolm and Hannah, you're going to get some education. And I feel as though that's so very important. And then also, what she said was soap operas are there to portray a heightened sense of reality. So I love that we have this dynamic, which is so grounded in reality, but then she catches her boss about
Yeah.
to, slob on the knob. Like, that would never happen in the real world, hopefully. In terms of, we would hope a hospital would have some more regulations than this one does.
Or
Um,
at least more locked doors. Or
yes,
at least better locks on the doors.
it is definitely giving, General Hospital vibes there a little bit. Um, or maybe Salem University Hospital. Never a locked door in sight.
I get shocked every time a door closes because I forget they have them. Every single time. Every
You
single
they
time I
might as well
forget.
remove all the doors in Haven Falls and just have them be open.
Just an
Because the
open
doors
concept.
will most certainly complicate things later, as you and I know.
Very much so. Very much
um,
so.
so let's get into this dynamic between Vanessa and her brother Lucas, the Hale children, because this was one of my favorite scenes. This kind of, we did a very almost like shoved two scenes together without a break in the middle. And so, like, I remember taping this, and you and I had to like tape Jeff separately so he could
Yep.
come back and like do the first episode onwards for a bit.
Yes.
There's some behind the mic tea there for you. But Jean Young, she taped her scenes that first night. And, what's incredible to me is just the fact that, like, they seemed like they were there together the whole time.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
what Jeff Branson and Gene Young were able to do in that scene, from the moment Vanessa wakes up out of her dead sleep from the nightmare to the baby crying to the brother checking on the sister, it still gives me chills just thinking about it.
Because when he comes in there, you can hear that sense of protectiveness in his voice. You can hear how he wants to be there for Vanessa, but he's also like, "Is everything all right?" There's that level of, "Are you sure?" Because I know that this is a lot deeper than you're telling me, and I think that also gives us a little bit of insight that this is happening probably more frequently than we know. This is just us hearing it because we're just being introduced to these characters. But it makes you wonder, how often does this happen? How much has she been struggling? And there's a whole history that you can hear just from this small exchange.
So much. And I think, starting a new soap opera is hard because
Mhm.
you have to ask so much of your actors. And luckily we have brilliant actors.
Mhm.
Some of them soap fans themselves, some of them have worked on soaps, and so they're able to hop into it. But asking so much of these two to just get the dynamic like that from the written word, and the way they took off running with that was amazing. There was no hesitation.
Nope.
Jean did that in one take. Like,
Yeah.
it was incredible how she just moved right in. Um, and I also love, as I know Galen sometimes does as well, I love when soap names become generational. So like,
Yes.
we have Samuel, who was Vanessa's husband, but then their baby's name is Sammy. Shout out to Dynasty, actually. I know a lot of people expected Days of Our Lives, but in our scripts, Sammy is spelled Sammy after Sammy Joe on Dynasty. And so, it's so great to have that wealthy soap opera family, very classic, that they're going to name their children after the ones who came before.
Mhm. Mhm.
I always have loved that on soaps.
Like I can just imagine the middle name being Victor. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like
most certainly. It's so funny to me because, Galen and I are big fans of The Young and the Restless. So, of course, there's Philip and Chance and, all of
oh my
these
god.
run the gamut.
Yes. There's like five Phillips. There's
Yes,
one, even Chance is a Philip. We just decided
exactly.
Philip is the name that we're sticking with. They said
Correct.
that's it. We found one and we're staying with it. And listen, depending on how long Haven Falls goes, who knows? There might be another Sammy. And that one might just be Sam. Who
Yeah,
knows?
that one might just be, or Samantha, who knows? It's,
Oh yeah.
this, you could be seeing Galen and I 30 years from now on, a hologram type of after show. And
Like, let me get my teeth together real quick while I talk about what Catherine used to have going on in the good old days.
oh, the flashbacks. So this, of course, brings us into the two scenes that gave way into the episode's cliffhanger, which was the culmination of the tense showdown between Patrick and Victor that ends with a shocking act of violence when Patrick just goes for it and socks him in the face. And Helen is standing there because Helen was on her way to a job interview, given directions by our very own Melissa Archer to where Hale Manufacturing was. And what I love throughout this whole episode is I think, if you've watched soap operas before, you knew this was going to head to a first episode confrontation between these two
Yeah.
men because everybody in town was talking about it and it was
Mm-hmm.
all building up and up and up. And so now we get here, they are just going at it. Like the way they
Mm-hmm.
wasted no time, and Frank Dacopoulos and BJ Van Griffin are absolutely brilliant in it.
Yes.
And I knew from that first episode, I was like, we need to end on a hook, one
Mm-hmm.
that really ensures that you're going to come back next week. And
Yes.
that hook just happened to be Patrick's right hook. So, you know, um, I think it is so delicious how it sets up the next episode. But Galen, what
Yes.
were your thoughts on all that led to the cliffhanger?
Well, first off, I was in love with the fact that Hannah was just asking for directions and not Hannah. My God, that Helen is asking.
I know our
I'm
two
still thinking
H's.
about Hannah. I am still thinking about Hannah walking into that hospital room. I think that that's what it is. My mind just keeps going back to that. But I love the fact that Helen is just looking for directions, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that poor girl." Like that just lets you know what she's gonna find when she gets there. I mean, because anytime but no one says anything to her, and I think that's the most realistic part of it is like let her find out what's going on up there when she gets there. We don't have the energy for it. We don't have the time. And like you said, though, I think ending it on that lets you know just how explosive the story is going to be going forward. Because if this is the first episode and they're already having physical altercations, they're already coming to blows. Number one, that lets you know that things are gonna just get worse and worse for them going forward. But it also lets you know how much tension has been building up to this point, how much has gone on, how much is like this powder keg between them, especially when we take into account that just earlier his own daughter was having to tell him like, "Daddy, calm down. You need to stop because I'm marrying him, and all of this that you're saying is a no go." So between that and then this, it's just like, oh yeah, they're not well when it comes to each other. They're not in a good place at all.
No, most certainly not. And I remember when I was pitching this to both of these actors, like, hey, do you want to do another audio soap? Because it is really an undertaking. Galen really comes from a place of understanding. And I know some of our friends out there in the genre have done this. Candace Mack, who we'll meet later down the line as a new character, has done it with me. It is like a second job. It is
Yes.
a lot of work. We are on a Zoom call for sometimes like 2 to 2.5 hours in an evening. You are looking through 25 to 30 pages. Like it's a lot. We really go for it. And so when I presented it to these two actors, Frank and BJ, I'm like, you guys are right for the job. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
there, no question. You guys
Mm-hmm.
will deliver this powerful patriarch feud dynamic that soaps are long known for,
Mm-hmm.
be it, Adam and Palmer on All My Children or Victor and Jack on The Young and the Restless. Like, this is what that is. And
Yeah.
they went for it.
Yeah.
They were game. They have gone for it. It's been an honor to tape with them and see that dynamic unfold. They're pros. They're
Yeah.
absolutely pros.
They absolutely are. And you can hear it. And I think that audio soap operas are so different because you have to actually pay attention to what's being said. You
Yes.
can't just like look at the screen and, oh my God, did I just see Jack throw a chair out the window and then go back and watch it? Like, you have to be invested in what they're saying. You have to listen, pay attention. If you miss something, you can go back, sure, but you have to be engaged in it. And I think that's why it's so important to have good actors. And I'm so thankful that everyone on the show is at that level where they know how to make the lines come to life. They know how to keep everyone engaged. They know how to make you feel like you are right there in the room with them. And oh God, we have such a talented cast. I could go on and on.
We do. I mean, and there are some other great actors coming down the pike. Like, we have some people who, you'll see in a cast photo that we put together, or you'll see in the opening credits, and you're like, oh, who's that person? And it gives you a little bit of mystery of you never know when you're going to meet the next character.
That's
Um,
true.
and I love that because we've got some amazing stories planned and some wonderful actors joining this already talented pool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, kind of looking ahead to next week, episode 2, I'm super excited because it is all about the fallout of that
Yes.
punch, that cliffhanger. Relationships are going to be tested, secrets are going to start surfacing. Some residents of our town may discover that the truth is much more dangerous than they expected.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a great second episode. You guys will not want
Yes.
to miss it.
Like, you need to be there. I will come to your
Yes.
house and turn it on for you if you want me to. You might not want to air that because maybe that is that a threat? No, it's a
No,
promise.
it's not because you just have some frequent flyer miles that you're going to fuel the Newman jet. And
Well,
so,
yes. Well,
yeah,
and I'm gonna stay at the Abbott cabin, and then that'll be my little hiding spot.
habit, habit.
Did you hear how I had to pronounce the word separately? I
You
had
did
to.
articulate very well. It was beautiful.
For those who don't know, ever since I was little, whenever I say Abbott cabin, because I'm from the country, I just say Abbott cabin. So I have to like stop, say the words separately. It is this accent, my God.
Well, Galen, my darling, until next time, where can our listeners find you on the social media?
You can find me everywhere at They Call Me Mr. G. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I think. No, you can find me by Galen Roberts on Facebook. And then you can find me on TikTok if They Call Me Mr. G. So pretty much if you search it, I'm going to come up.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thank God, right there. I'm gonna be the first face.
Most certainly. And you can find me on X, formerly Twitter. I'm like, to me, it will always still be Twitter. But anyway, I'm over there underscore case 1999. And of course, most of our listeners come from listening to the chat. So the chat underscore podcast, I'm there cutting up with a whole bunch of wonderful folks and my dear friends every week, discussing shows just like this one. But you can also find Haven Falls on Twitter at underscore Haven Falls. There I go again, calling it Twitter instead of X, but and also Facebook, Haven Falls. Just search us up and our Facebook page will be here. But youtube.com/ at Haven Falls is really where it's at because that's how you get the full episodes. First and foremost, that is how you get exclusive promos, and that's how you get the after show, this
Mm-hmm.
thing right here.
Pretty
So, yeah.
much.
But until then, we will see everybody next time. Thank you for joining in. Please like and subscribe, and also have a great time listening to episode 2 this week.
And let us know what you think about it. Get in the comments. Let
Of
us
course,
know. Tell us. We need to know.
we
We're
do.
nosy.
Don't have Galen leave his house to show up at yours, okay? He's very busy.
Very. But I'll still take time. So do it.
Yes.